The loud crash of shattered glass froze every customer inside the neighborhood grocery store. Shopping carts stopped moving. A frightened child began crying. Panic spread through the building as two masked robbers stormed through the entrance, shouting and waving weapons while demanding money from the registers. People dropped to the floor, terrified that the next few moments could become the worst day of their lives. Yet in the middle of the fear, one ordinary single father remained surprisingly calm. His steady eyes searched the room, not for a way to escape, but for a way to protect everyone around him. Standing quietly only a few feet away, successful CEO Adrian Mercer couldn't understand how a man dressed in worn jeans and an old work jacket could remain so composed while everyone else trembled. What happened next would change both of their lives forever. If stories about kindness, courage, and second chances inspire you, don't forget to support Single Dad Empire and share your thoughts with others who believe ordinary people can make an extraordinary difference. The single father was Rowan Hale, a 38-year-old maintenance technician who had spent years raising his 9-year-old daughter, Nora, after losing his wife to a sudden illness. Every dollar Rowan earned went toward rent, groceries, and Nora's education. His clothes were old, his truck barely ran, and his savings account almost never held more than a few $100s. Life had taught him that panic solved nothing. Every difficult day had forced him to think before acting, and those painful lessons now kept his heart steady while everyone around him was overwhelmed with fear. Rowan gently guided Nora behind a sturdy display shelf, covering her with his body without drawing attention. He quietly helped an elderly woman lower herself to the floor after noticing her shaking legs could barely support her weight. He never challenged the robbers or tried to become a hero. Instead, he carefully watched every movement inside the store, noticing exits, frightened customers, and opportunities to keep people safe. Adrian Mercer, the billionaire CEO visiting the neighborhood to inspect one of his company's nearby properties, noticed every thoughtful decision Rowan made. Wealth had introduced Adrian to confident executives, skilled negotiators, and elite security teams, but he had rarely witnessed such calm under genuine danger. One nervous cashier accidentally dropped a cash drawer onto the floor, causing bills and coins to scatter everywhere. One robber turned violently toward her, furious at the delay. Before the situation could become even worse, Rowan slowly stepped forward with empty hands visible, silently kneeling to gather the fallen money while keeping his movements slow and non-threatening. His actions redirected the robber's attention just enough for the terrified cashier to regain control without escalating the situation. Rowan never looked brave. He simply looked determined to prevent unnecessary harm. Minutes later, police sirens echoed outside. The robbers rushed toward the exit carrying bags of stolen cash before disappearing into a waiting vehicle. Officers quickly secured the area while paramedics checked frightened customers. Everyone began sharing their stories, but Adrian's attention remained fixed on Rowan, who wasn't talking about himself. Instead, he comforted Nora, helped the elderly woman into an ambulance, and quietly picked up groceries that had spilled across the floor during the chaos. Adrian approached Rowan outside the store. Expensive watches and luxury cars had earned Adrian respect from many people, yet Rowan seemed completely uninterested in his status. Adrian thanked him for protecting others, but Rowan simply smiled and explained that anyone would have done the same. Adrian knew that wasn't true. Most people froze during emergencies. Rowan had stayed focused on helping complete strangers. Curious, Adrian asked about Rowan's life. He learned that Rowan worked long hours repairing equipment in old buildings, often taking extra weekend jobs whenever bills became overwhelming. Promotions had passed him by because he spent too much time helping co-workers finish their assignments instead of seeking recognition. Rowan believed character mattered more than titles, even if life rarely rewarded that belief. Those words stayed with Adrian long after they parted ways. The following morning Adrian instructed his assistant to learn everything possible about Rowan. What he discovered surprised him even more. Rowan had never missed a child support payment because there was none to pay. He had raised Nora completely alone for 6 years. Teachers described him as the father who always volunteered to repair broken playground equipment without charging the school. Elderly neighbors said he shoveled snow from their driveways before leaving for work every winter morning. Local shelters remembered him quietly fixing broken plumbing whenever they needed help. Rowan never advertised his kindness because he never expected anything in return. A week later, Adrian invited Rowan to company headquarters, offering what sounded like a simple thank you lunch. Rowan almost declined because he couldn't afford to miss work. After convincing his supervisor to allow a few hours away, he arrived wearing his cleanest old shirt, feeling completely out of place inside the towering glass building. During lunch, Adrian asked Rowan difficult questions about leadership, teamwork, pressure, and responsibility. Rowan answered honestly instead of trying to impress anyone. He admitted mistakes he had made, described lessons learned from raising Nora alone, and explained that true leadership meant making sure everyone reached home safely before thinking about personal success. Those answers affected Adrian more deeply than years of expensive leadership seminars. Unknown to Rowan, Adrian's manufacturing company faced serious internal problems. Employee trust had collapsed after years of management focusing only on profits. Turnover reached record highs. Workers no longer believed executives understood their struggles. Adrian realized that people didn't need another polished executive. They needed someone whose actions naturally earned trust. Instead of offering Rowan charity, Adrian offered him something far greater, a paid leadership training position designed to develop future operations managers. Many executives immediately objected. They questioned why an ordinary maintenance worker deserved such an opportunity without a business degree. Adrian ignored every complaint. He had seen Rowan perform under the kind of pressure that no interview could ever recreate. The transition wasn't easy. Rowan struggled with computers, presentations, and corporate language. Younger employees often understood technical systems faster than he did. Some quietly mocked his simple clothes and rural background. Every evening Rowan returned home exhausted, wondering whether he truly belonged. Yet Nora reminded him that courage wasn't about never feeling afraid. It meant continuing despite fear. Instead of pretending to know everything, Rowan asked questions, listened carefully, and treated every employee with respect. Cleaning staff, security guards, engineers, and executives all noticed the same thing. Rowan greeted everyone by name whenever possible. He remembered birthdays, helped solve problems without blaming people, and never considered any task beneath him. Within months, employee morale improved dramatically wherever Rowan worked. Productivity increased because workers trusted someone who genuinely cared about them instead of treating them like numbers on a spreadsheet. One afternoon, Adrian stood quietly on an upper balcony overlooking the factory floor. He watched Rowan kneeling beside a frightened new employee whose machine had malfunctioned. Rather than criticize the mistake, Rowan patiently explained each step until the young worker smiled with confidence again. Adrian suddenly remembered the grocery store robbery. Rowan hadn't changed at all. Whether surrounded by fear, poverty, or opportunity, his first instinct was always protecting others. That realization became the most valuable lesson Adrian had learned during his entire business career. Years later, Rowan became one of the company's most respected leaders, not because he chased promotions, but because people naturally chose to follow him. Nora proudly watched her father receive an award recognizing outstanding leadership, though Rowan insisted the greatest reward had always been seeing others succeed. If this story touched your heart, share what part inspired you the most and pass it along to someone who still believes kindness can change lives. Special request: comment with, "Kindness always wins," if you believe one calm, compassionate person can change the future of countless others. As the applause filled the auditorium, Adrian understood something money could never buy. During a terrifying robbery, he thought he had witnessed an ordinary father staying calm under pressure. In truth, he had witnessed the quiet strength of a man whose greatest wealth had always been his character. That single moment of courage transformed not only Rowan's future but also the future of an entire company, proving that true leaders are not defined by power or position. They are remembered for the lives they lift when the world needs hope the most.